What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another one. Today, we're going to be talking about how to make friends while traveling. This is something that I don't profess to be an expert at. Like, I'm not a friend-making machine or whatever. But the point is, I've moved to a lot of different countries in my life. I just barely made this train. And a lot of that I did on my own, traveling solo. You know, sometimes people like to say, oh, I'm not a tourist, I'm a traveler. You know what, forget all that. Today I'm definitely a tourist and I got the brochures to prove it. Through that, I think I've picked up some tips for how to make friends, especially how to make friends when you're moving to new places or just traveling. All right, so tip number one, this is the one that has probably served me best, and that is to stay in hostels. Now, admittedly, this is easier for people of a younger demographic. Hostels can be a young person's game. Hostels can have uncomfortable beds. But the point is, if you feel comfortable staying in a hostel, whatever your age is, whatever your situation is, I would recommend you to do it. I always tell people, hostels are not just great because of the affordability factor. They're almost always cheaper than hotels or Airbnbs. But the real benefit has nothing to do with the cost. It has to do with the social factor. Because hostels attract travelers who are pretty open-minded, who are looking to make friends. I mean, if you book a room with 8 bunk beds and there's 7 other people, I guarantee you they're all in a similar situation to you. They're traveling the world, they're going from city to city. They might be looking for someone to explore the city with, or to get drinks with, or just to talk with over breakfast. Like, a lot of these hostels offer free breakfast, which makes it a super convenient way to just sit there and talk to the person across from you and be like, hey, what do you got going on today? What are you doing in Paris? What are you doing in Berlin? Have you been to the temple in Bangkok? Do you want to go with us? You know, it's like, it just happens. Now, my second tip, I would advise you to go to things like free walking tours. Almost any major city in Europe, and now a lot of other places too, will offer free walking tours. And essentially, it's like by donation. So it's like free, and then afterwards you can give them a few bucks if you enjoyed it. But it's like groups of people who are travelers to a new city. Sometimes there's like 50 people or more. Sometimes it's like small little groups. They're just gonna give you a free tour of the downtown areas or whatever they wanna show you. And same deal as a hostel. If you wanna make friends, you should be around other people who are also like looking to make friends. Other people who have time to make friends, you know. I'm not telling you you shouldn't make friends with people who live in that city, but you got to remember that they're working jobs. They have their like everyday commitments to do. They're going to the grocery store, they're getting their laundry done, they're doing all these things. Whereas most travelers have the luxury of time. So if you find yourself in that environment with other people who are new to a city and who have time, you might make some friends. Now, tip number 3, this one might sound counterintuitive, but my advice for you if you want to make friends is don't go with a big group of friends. Because the thing about going with a big group of friends, you might be thinking, well, okay, like, if you want to make more friends, have friends, right? If you want to make more money, have money. Like, it kind of sounds right, but it isn't. Because when you have a big group of friends around you, and I see this all the time, a bunch of the lads from London will go to another city and they're all drinking together and they're all speaking English and they're all like, they have their inside jokes because they're already a bubble and they're behaving the exact same way with their friends as they would in their hometown. And they're just bringing that bubble to someplace new. But there's no opportunity for anyone outside that bubble to break in, or for people in that group to meet someone outside the group. I mean, I'm not discouraging you from ever traveling with friends, but if you're looking to meet new people, it's not the best way. Which leads me to point number 4. This is very connected to the end of that one. Just get off your damn phone. When I say get off your damn phone, I mean your phone, of course, but also, I mean, I got some wireless headphones that I really like. These are like Sony wireless headphones. I love these things. They're great. I'll throw in a podcast and walk around and I'll just be in my own universe. But when I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, nobody's gonna approach me. I probably won't even know if that a building behind me is like burning down or something. Like, you know, you're so isolated with headphones or phones or funny how the word headphones has phones in it. I guess any word with phone inside of it, you should just avoid that device altogether. But yeah, leave the technology away. Not only will it put up a shield that strangers will not see you as an approachable person, you also will not see the strangers. And even at a deeper level than that, like let's say you're trying to find a coffee shop that's 3 blocks away. Okay, so you have it all Google mapped on your phone and like you know exactly where to go and you're just watching your phone and you get there, you find it. Good job. But what if you didn't have the phone and you were just walking around and you're in an unfamiliar city and maybe you missed the little side street you were supposed to turn on and you go 2 blocks too far and then suddenly you don't know where you are. So what do? You ask someone, you ask the shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper is a nice guy and he starts talking to you. Oh, where are you from? Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm not saying they're going to be your friend, but you just met someone who you never would have met. And sometimes those people you meet who you never would have met turn out being friends. Sometimes they give you a tip on somewhere you should go or some restaurant you should try or like... The thing about life is you don't know where those connections will lead. But if you don't allow them time to go anywhere, you're not going to move anywhere at all. You're just going to be stuck as the person you are in the situation you're in. And it's going to be your damn phone that you can blame for it. And the fifth and final tip I would have for you is something that honestly I think we could all be a bit better at. And that is to be a non-judgmental human being. I'm not trying to moralize or like tell you like you need to live your life like this. I'm just telling you that travel for me is about exploring new places, exploring new ways of life, just exploring in every sense of the word. And if you have a closed idea of like what kind of friends you want to make, if you're from a certain social class and you're like, oh, I'm not going to be friends with someone who looks like that, or I'm not going to be friends with someone who acts like that, or, you know, my friends speak English, or my friends are Americans, I don't speak to Europeans or whatever, even when you're traveling in Europe. You know, if you're giving off that vibe that you only want to interact with people like you, probably not going to make nearly as many friends as someone who's open to meet anyone, to be friends with anyone, to talk to anyone. And the world would be a lot better place if everyone thought this way all the time, which is why even when I'm living in Montreal, even when I'm living in one city, I connect best with travelers. I connect best with people who have traveled to a lot of countries because like, I was talking with a friend recently and she was saying that about herself. She said like people who are transient, people who have moved a lot, that's my tribe. That's the people who embody my way of life. And it does kind of feel like travelers have their own tribe. And it's not like you need a membership to be part of that tribe. It's not like you need to go to a certain number of countries. It has nothing to do with that. Some people can travel to 100 countries and if they're doing it in a closed-minded way, they're not going to be part of the travel tribe. Some people have lived their whole lives in one city, and yet the way they think, the way they interact with other people from other places, it's like, you get it. Like you're a traveler in your soul. And that for me is someone who's non-judgmental to others, someone who is willing to strike up a conversation with someone who is from a very different situation than they are. And I know there's like social anxiety. I know some people are like, well, Dan, like we can't all just talk to strangers. It's not as easy for me as it is for you. It's not easy for me either. You might think it is because I'm a YouTuber, but I feel that social anxiety. I feel that fear of like, oh, like I'm at a hostel on my own. Like what will other people think of me? But most of that fear is when you're actually booking the ticket or, you know, thinking about it beforehand. Once you've made the decision and you've done it, it becomes so easy because you realize other people aren't as scary as you think. Most people are actually interested in making a friend, especially someone from another place, someone with another history, another story, another culture to share. People are naturally curious. You are the same, but when you've gone somewhere else, you are more interesting to people around you because they're like, hey, there's that American guy from Boston. In Boston, you were just like one of millions, but here in Berlin, suddenly it's like, hey, you have a different perspective. I want to talk to this guy. So just don't close yourself off from things happening, okay? And don't be judgmental. There's too many people like that in this world. We all have our moments, you know. We all have moments where we can be judgmental, myself included. But I think consciously reminding yourself to keep an open mind can go a long way. So those are my tips for traveling and making friends. If you have more, leave a comment, let me know. And yeah, see you next time. How do I turn this off?